It's a real honor to have served with Colonel Huggins. Back in 2004 and earlier, Senator Murkowski made two very outstanding appointments. He appointed Colonel Huggins to serve as the Veterans Advisory Commission, and his top stated priority was finding a domiciliary, a veterans home for Alaska, Alaska being only one of two. And it's a mission he began as the Veterans Affairs, and he finished that business as a state senator. Since he served it, well, the story of Charlie Huggins is far longer than I could ever talk about. But the three words he would probably use to describe his values are God, family, and country, and he embodies those principles. He's served his country as in the military. He served his country. He served his community as a school board member, and then as a state senator. He served his community and families as a volunteer in so many different sports and activities. I first knew him when he was. We were both active and continue to be active in NRA and Outdoor Council and just about every sportsman's activity. I think our local press criticized Senator Huggins and maybe myself that when we had events, we had too many sportsmen there and too many people, and Senator Huggins said, well, if I excluded all those guys, I wouldn't have anybody there, because those are the people that shared his values. A lot of people don't know a lot of things about what Senator Huggins did before he got here, because he is very reticent, almost embarrassed about talking about his own achievements. If you ask him about the military, you'll hear about helicopter pilot Becky Huggins. You'll hear about Chad Huggins serving in the U.S. Army, who followed his path to the military starting in ROTC. You'll hear about Hallie Huggins and the great things she's done in military life and now in civilian life. You'll hear about Cody Huggins. And that's trying to pry a military story or a war story out of Senator Huggins is a pretty fruitless task, because you're not going to get one. His deeds have spoken for themselves, and the true heroes really don't talk about themselves, and we're amongst a true hero. He played football at Florida State. A couple of pretty impressive Charlies there, Charlie Ward and Charlie Huggins. I think Charlie Ward went and did something probably not near as impressive of the things that Charlie Huggins did for his country. But serving in posts in Egypt, Vietnam, Panama, Korea, Israel, and a real desolate outpost later on in civilian life, Juneau. So he has really contributed to his country and served in every sense of the word. I could not have been more honored to serve as a senator for 8 years. We shared a Senate district. It was a great relationship for me. I could vote for him, but he couldn't vote for me. So that was my probably the best leverage I've ever had on him. But I wouldn't have wanted to vote for anybody else. There were folks that tried to encourage me to run after. I said, "You got to be kidding!" And that's. I think he and I both went down and registered to file for our respective seats together, just to disabuse any of that talk. And it's been, I can say, at least on the Senate part for Senator Huggins, it's been a pretty good deal. I really wish Senator Huggins has seen probably more carnage and more of the bad things in life that soldiers protect us from seeing and having to deal with ourselves. But here in this body and in general public life, he has been one of the most calming influences. He's a guy that can bring down the elevation, and sometimes he's brought down my over elevation of wanting to go out and do something, because people that have done and seen things, I think, are a lot more cautious about jumping into fights. And I just was trying to do this from rote memory, but I've been just so honored to serve with Senator Huggins as in our area. If you're within 20, 30 miles of each other, we call ourselves neighbors. So he's been a neighbor, a friend, a colleague in the other body, from the other body, and now probably one of the highlights of my serving my term in the Senate is getting to serve with Senator Huggins. I couldn't imagine a more thoroughly decent man, a man who is his demeanor, his character, and the values have made a lasting impression on this body. What he has brought through a quiet and resolute demonstration of the values of those things I talked about: God, honor, and country, and the expectations for how we conduct ourselves. We can only measure partially up to a man like Senator Huggins, who I often called a colonel as a sign of respect, who I think is, for what he did for his country, I view that as the higher office he's held. But whatever office or duty he's held, he has done it reflecting those values. And what I guess the only good thing is we're both leaving at the same time, so I'll get to see him more in Wasilla doing the thing. In addition to his 3 kids, I'm trying to remember your granddaughter Amelia, and I believe your grandson Colton, unless there's been any additions since then. There's a man who looks forward to Father's Day, because I think he acts like his family, I think, treats him like it's Father's Day every day, and the love and the respect they direct to him. But I was glad to see that you got to spend time with your daughter, visiting, celebrating Father's Day and the values that you embody as a father before you came down here. And with that, I don't want to get any more emotional than I am, but I'm so grateful that my colleague from the House asked me to co-sponsor this resolution. It's far too short because it doesn't really embody all of the things that he did and the values that he's led by example here. And with that, I yield the floor before I start crying.